So let's jump into comps now. When
Yes.
I'm at shows and I'm talking to people, I hear comments about, well, I don't trust comps. Some things are not included. There could be a sale of the show that's not rolled up in the comps.
Mm.
Some of the comp data may have errors in it. Um, all data may not be included. There may be more recent sales that aren't included in the comp data. What are your thoughts on when you hear people say a lot of these comps are not good?
They're onto something, and that is such an overlooked part. And being once the owner of and now the head researcher at Card Ladder, this is something that is a delicate and important topic to me. I mean, every night for about 3 hours a night, myself and several other members of the research team work from about midnight till 3 in the morning. So like right now is the middle of the afternoon for me.
Yes,
But we
yes.
work from about midnight till 3 in the morning,
Mhm.
reviewing thousands of sales. If a card is in Card Ladder's verified database, that means that anytime a sale that card comes in, a human researcher looks at it, quickly scans the bid history to see if there's obvious signs of shilling. If it's a sale that's well in excess of previous sales, we pull up the current listings on eBay to see if they're, if that auction ended for 2 or 3 times what cards are currently available for. And if we do see strong indicia of a card that is likely a sham sale or a shilled auction, we exclude it from our verified database and we put it into a file that we call purgatory, which just means it's not that we're saying definitively that this is a bad comp. It just really looks like it is.
Okay.
And so for that reason, it's over here. You can still see it. Every day we publish a list on our feed of all the sales that we exclude for that reason. And on a given day, we usually look at maybe 3,000 sales, and I don't know, maybe 15 or so get sent to purgatory. So it's a small number, but it's not insignificant. Okay, so that's sort of on the credibility of sales that we see taking place on marketplaces. Like, there are reasons to be concerned. Auctions are shilled. People do hit bin to create fake comps. That happens. It happens every day. It's a big problem. It's honestly the bane of my existence. I wouldn't have to work 3 hours overnight, 365 days a year if that didn't happen, but it
Yeah.
does. And so here I am. But now on the thing about sort of even getting down to the nitty gritty of what is a comp, is it true that just because a week ago, somebody paid $50 for a card, does that mean that it's worth $50 a week later? It doesn't necessarily mean that. Comps are not necessarily things that dictate value, it's a persuasive data point. Well, if somebody did pay $50, or in fact, in order for an auction to reach $50, two people had to have bid at least $50. So it's persuasive in the sense that there was a second highest bidder who set the price and then a highest bidder who ended up winning. There's something persuasive about that, but in no way does it mean that just because something once sold for X, that it's going to sell for X again
Yeah.
a week later. So comps sometimes can become crutches, or they can become shortcuts that don't necessarily mean all that sometimes we think that they mean. A comp is just a comp, nothing more, nothing less. And to the point about, more data happening, like private transactions happening, deals happening at shows, that is a very good point, that these pieces of data that are being, overlooked because it's not taking place on an online marketplace or something to that effect, that's a glaring hole in the hobby's data set. And so at Card Ladder, one of the things we try to do, we allow our members to report private deals, and they do, but it's surely not even beginning to scratch the surface of the data that just takes place on a given weekend at any number of shows across the country. So it's a valid point on a number of levels that we have incomplete data, and that comps, all they are is a record of a sale that took place. Nothing more, nothing less.
What do you think about now as we talk through this and we talk about some of the errors that may be with comps? What would be some of the steps you think a person should go to in order to derive a price of a card?
Oof. Yeah, that's a, I think everybody has to develop their own. They have to develop their own process. This is a hobby. This hobby is in some ways a wild, wild west, and people should gather enough information that their comfort level is such that if they end up buying this card and it turns out that they overpaid, or it turns out that, the card's value goes down a few months later, that they love the card, so it's okay. That, in other words, if we're collecting cards and we recognize that this is a collectibles industry, and that the fundamentals at play in this industry are that it's a hobby, that it's an escape, that it's something for fun, it's recreational, it's a passion. And so, when we're collecting cards, that's sort of the approach I would take is make sure that we're buying items that we love, and that look, I know there's a lot of people who do speculating, or they buy for the ability to flip in a short amount of time, and that's a different ball game that I don't personally feel comfortable in saying, here's enough information for this person or that style. The thing that I feel comfortable saying is just, love the hobby, love it for the right reasons as a collector, that it's an escape, it's a release, it's nostalgic. And then if you really put the research in to understand the offering of cards for a particular player or a particular set, that, hopefully you end up owning a card that you love and that becomes a cherished part of your collection. I think that's the way to roll.
Understood. Buy what you like, right?
I mean, that would be a much easier way to sum up all the stuff I just said.